If you were on the side of Twitter I was when Donkey Kong Bonanza came out, you probably saw a lot of memes like this one. A rogues gallery of platforming mascots, all with different labels on them. You got ones like Mario and Sonic, who are alive and well. And bye, apparently, in Sonic's case. And then there's Rayman. Or Crash. But at the height of the meme circulation and the conversation as a whole, Gamescom happened. And out of complete left field...
Yo! Remember me? Your old pal Bubsy?
I don't think Bubsy being resurrected was on anybody's bingo card, let alone the resurrection of 3D Bubsy. Like, there was nothing to indicate we were getting a new Bubsy game. Sure, we were getting Bubsy All-Stars later this year, or I guess as of me making this, it's already out, but the last game was Paws on Fire in 2019, and it didn't do well. I don't think a lot of people even knew this came out. I mean, I sure didn't. I only found out of its existence when adding the Perfect Collection to my Steam wishlist. But regardless, we're getting a new Bubsy game in 2026, and it actually looks good. In fact, it plays good. Yeah, there's a demo on Steam right now. It's very obvious that this is a still in development title, but it gives it a good idea of what the rest of the game will be like. But I want to ask the important question that everybody is wondering. How did we get here?
What could possibly go wrong?
In the early 90s, the heated war between Nintendo and Sega was at an all-time high, and their mascots, Mario and Sonic, were on the top of the gaming food chain. So much so that every gaming company tried to get a piece of that pie. From this trend, we got such iconic characters like Wild Woody, Jazz the Jackrabbit, Commander Keen, Awesome Possum, Dynamite Eddie, Lester the Unlikely, and so many more. But probably the best known of these is Bubsy the Bobcat. Bubsy stood out because he really irradiated the energy of a little kid who thought he was just as cool as the bigger, actually cool kids. Unlike the other edgy mascots of the time who tried to be cool and failed miserably, Bubsy just kinda ran with the fact that his character was lame, and I think that really helped him stick in people's minds, even all these years later. Also, his games sucked. Bubsy's first outings were nothing special. The first two games were viewed well, but they carried that 90s stank of being difficult for no reason. Sure, this wasn't uncommon for the time, but Nintendo managed to cram the biggest and easiest Mario game ever onto an SNES cart a few years prior. But old habits die hard, I guess. Bubsy's third outing, Fractured Furry Tales, was the first game to actually fail. It scored an average of around 40% with reviewers, and it was an Atari Jaguar exclusive, so obviously the sales numbers weren't there. But the PlayStation had launched that year, so no one wanted to play 2D games like Bubsy anymore. So Accolade, being the geniuses that they are, got the idea to convert Bubsy to the 3D realm. And as the story goes, it failed miserably, and Bubsy fizzled out. And that is really where the story should end, with Bubsy being an obscure defunct video game character from the 90s, nothing more than a faint memory in the minds of those old enough to have witnessed him. But then the internet happened.
Did I mention I don't like heights?
Bubsy's last appearance for a while was Bubsy 3D on the PlayStation. Like I said only moments ago, it failed miserably. Besides just being a truly awful game, it had the unfortunate task of following up Super Mario 64 and Crash Bandicoot. And then even more competent games followed up Bubsy. It's not hard to see how Bubsy failed, but with the rise of the internet in the late 90s and early 2000s, it kind of opened the door for discussion around games like Bubsy to open back up. And as the internet and its cultures evolved, people began developing an ironic love for Bubsy. I mean, how could you not? He radiates the same energy as a little kid who thinks he's hot stuff for getting a hand-me-down PS2 with the greatest hits version of Vice City on it. He's charming in his own stupid kind of way, but all this ironic love for Bubsy accumulated in something no one could have expected.
World hunger. Nuclear proliferation. Reality TV. None of those horrors compared to yarn ball deprivation. I've been waiting to settle this score since 1993.
I have no words. Yeah, Bubsy somehow breached containment and got a new game. Bubsy the Woolies Strikes Back. It did okay. The game, according to those who played it, was surprisingly good, but the actual value of the game left much to be desired. It launched around $30 and it takes about... Whoa! This game launched 4 days after Super Mario Odyssey. I mean, sure, it's been well over 20 years since Bubsy 3D, but come on! This game did get a sequel called Paws on Fire. It wasn't much better. In 2017, Bubsy officially made it out of the realm of bad games and ended up in an arguably worse place. Just okay but forgettable games. The series would sit dormant after the lukewarm response to Paws on Fire pushed Atari to officially shelve Bubsy for a second time. Until...
More like a bridge too short.
I already mentioned this earlier, but yeah, this year at Gamescom, Atari just kinda... Man, this was a wild reveal, and right after the revival of 3D Donkey Kong, too. Bubsy 4D is going to be a sequel to Bubsy 3D, the undisputed worst game in the franchise, but 4D literally introduces itself with a self-aware joke about how bad 3D was, so I got high hopes for this one.
Was it something I said? What could possibly go wrong?
But if a new 3D Bubsy game wasn't enough, Bubs himself got a pretty impressive facelift. This was likely done as a rebrand in an attempt to get away from all of this. But he also got a new voice and an outfit that comes off as Bubsy getting older. Bubsy is the first platforming mascot to actually age. Bubsy aged. But besides being Bubsy's self-aware stand-up routine, the reveal trailer actually showed off some really good-looking gameplay. Dare I say that Bubsy is finally getting a good game? Oh. Really? I guess the universe couldn't handle game, Bubsy, and good all being in the same sentence. Just give it a second to reboot. And there we go. As I was saying, Bubsy 4D actually looks really good. The movement looks smooth, the environments are pleasing to the eye, and Bubsy's new voice doesn't make me want to gouge my eardrums out with a Milwaukee drill. And considering this game has a core team consisting of only 5 people, I am thoroughly impressed. Honestly, the only part that's disappointing to me is that I have to wait till next year to play this. Oh yeah, I almost forgot about the whole selling point of this video. Yeah, Bubsy 4D has a demo on Steam right now, and my suspicions were correct. Bubsy 4D is shaping up to be an amazing game. Sure, there are some janky bits here and there, but this is a demo for an unfinished game being worked on by 5 people employed by a company wearing Atari's skin. Now, while there is only about an hour's worth of content here, what is here is more than enough to show that Bubsy 4D is really shaping up to be an amazing game. The movement is sublime, the environments are pretty, and the humor is on point. Honestly, I don't want to go into too much detail, partly because I'm lazy and telling you to go play the game is easier, but also it's something that really does need to be experienced. You're robbing yourself by sitting here listening to me talk about this demo. Like, I cannot stress enough how surprisingly good this is. So please, do yourself the favor and go play the Bubsy demo. I'll even be nice enough to leave a link down in the description. Though please remember, this is an unfinished game. I mean, as of me writing this, the game has had some bugs patched out, announced with this really funny patch notes list. I mean, if a demo is getting bug fixes, clearly there is some real effort going into this.
Hey, whatever blows your hair back.
Honestly, I'm glad Bubsy's getting some love with 4D. I know I spent a lot of time dunking on the older titles, but I think other than Bubsy 3D, none of them are actually that bad. Listening to interviews with team members who worked on some of these older titles, it's very obvious that some real heart went into these games. None of these developers or designers went in with the intent to make a bad game. They had a vision, and unfortunately a few pieces of that vision didn't quite fit into place. I'll even vouch for Bubsy 3D here for a second and say the same thing about its development team. Bubsy 3D came out only weeks after Crash Bandicoot and Super Mario 64, but it started development long before either of those titles were publicly shown. As far as the development team knew, they were working on the first 3D platformer. The team was also built up of young, mostly inexperienced developers who had Accolade constantly breathing down their necks, asking for things that just simply were not possible in the time that they were given. Bubsy 4D, like its predecessors, clearly has a passionate team behind it, but unlike previous titles, 4D's pieces are lining up perfectly. The team behind this game have found the perfect mix of all the Bubsy elements, and it shows. Seeing Bubsy finally get a game that can be considered good, maybe even great, warms my heart. Like I said earlier, Bubsy is charming in his own stupid kind of way, and we're seeing this little goober's S-tier redemption arc. So I'm hopeful for the future of Bubsy, and I have really high hopes for Bubsy 4D. Hopes that I am confident aren't misplaced. Oh no. Not again. I might be ready for a good Bubsy game, but clearly the universe isn't.